going into my junior year for film directing at SVA in Manhattan. So that's been a lot of my background. And I learned a lot also from working with my dad, who has a similar passion for filmmaking. And it was just kind of a coincidence that we both were really into that. So it was nice. The reason I said coincidence is because I grew up a lot with filmmaking, just films in general. I grew up with my dad watching old films, especially film noirs, and a lot of classics like The Wizard of Oz, and just I definitely grew up with that. And because I grew up in such a artistic household, my sister being a singer and also into old movies, I think that it was less of a coincidence and more environmentally just kind of growing in a very accepting household that really allowed me to pursue artistic things. And I think I've just been in a very lucky environment to be allowed for that.
Tell us your connection to Casa Noir, which you were part of, again, one of your father's short documentary that's a takeoff on Casablanca. So what was your role in that, and what do you make of that? And the connection to the old Casablanca and the film noir movies that you've been watching.
It's so Casa Noir is like a kind of parody, but also like a romantic comedy inspired by Casablanca and the story behind that, but with the a ventriloquistic twist. And my dad is the actor, and he wrote and starred in this film, and I was very lucky to have been the first assistant director. It was really fun to work on this because very few people can say they worked with their dad on a film where he was a ventriloquist detective who kind of played the Rick character. It was so fun because at the time I was living with him when he was writing it, and it was fun to hear the different versions of it slowly being put together. And, just growing up with him, knowing his other work, it was really fun to see a lot of the inspirations for it. And I had such a good time assistant directing. It was really it was a challenging shoot. That we even did the classic Casablanca airplane scene, right. And being at the airport when finally I saw the airplane there, and I saw Katharina, who plays the femme fatale, dressed up in the full vintage 40s outfit, and my dad in the trench coat. It was very surreal, oh my God, we're actually doing this. It was very, very cool. It looked just like Casablanca.
Right? I mean, Sabrina, you've been doing this since you were a little kid. He's playing with the puppets, and you're growing up and listening to this, right? Since you were a child.
Yeah.
What a gift. It must have been so wonderful. I mean, there's as far as I can tell, as you know, we've done a couple of shows with Jonathan, but I don't think there's a puppet that replicates you in any way. But you play, and we're going to play also an excerpt from short excerpt of the season 2 episode where you play Zoe.
Zoe was back. The look on her face told me she was in trouble. The kind of trouble a teenager can get into if she breaks away from her Hasidic family and becomes a cosplayer.
I'm in deep shit.
Let's hear it.
The Brooklyn cosplay convention's in 3 days, and the Princess Malka costume's been stolen.
I wouldn't figure you for a princess character.
No, it's for my friend Malka's costume. I was keeping it for her because her parents are cosplay phobic. The costume, it means everything to her.
Your friend and her costume are both called Malka?
Harmless narcissism.
When in Lira is it stolen?
I've been working part-time for my uncle.
Rabbi Nachum.
Norman. So yeah, I had the costume locked in a closet. Figured I'd pick it up this morning when I made a delivery of schmutzig puppet knishes to Temple Gates of Guilt. But it was gone.
You do please me, Suede. And I'm a hard woman to please.
Not hard for me, Dollface, because I'm always hard.
It's hard to find a man who's always hard.
Holy shit! I didn't know oi boys are a thing. I'm gonna close my Tickschlock account.
We're rolling, guys.
So you're not part of the puppet crew, correct? You don't represent any of the
I don't. Definitely not.
Definitely not. That's probably well, okay, whatever. And but you do play Zoe in a number of 8 or 9 or 10 episodes. And I told my audience again, you all need to absolutely see Trillo Suede and Google that. It's just unbelievable. And look, I've told you, fathers, he is an unbelievable ventriloquist. I mean, just forget it. Really. Just look at it, look at him, and anyway, people should check that out. But you played Zoe. What's this character? Because you act in a much different way than you're acting or coming across now.
Oh yeah,
about Zoe.
Zoe. Zoe is such an interesting character. It's So the inspiration behind it is my dad told me this is sort of an exaggeration of what I was like in high school. And I will agree, I was quite like that in high school, just kind of very, had an attitude. She's very sassy. Definitely very sarcastic, very much like just there to just, I'm always like kind of poking fun at him, and it's definitely
a little ingenue, maybe.
I think
a little okay, yeah.
I think her character is so because the shows like with season 1 and 2, it's very much like a film noir kind of style. He told me that Zoe was very much a character that's like supposed to break all of that and almost be like a wall break, where it's like a character who is like in the wrong show, who just shows up and insults him and points out, the weirdness that a lot of film noir movies and shows, like a lot of the kind of funny elements of it without meaning to. And she's kind of there to kind of poke fun of it or bring that out and sort of just be like a character that's always floating around in the wrong genre. So I appreciate that kind of humor.
Yeah, and so many of the puppets are also just hilarious. And what's her name? Levinsky and Rabbi, and so on. Tell us a little about the Jewish connection here. Why are so many of these puppets and so many of the skits in a way they're Jewish oriented? What is that about? Help us understand. Help the audience understand what's going on there.
Yeah, it's definitely unique. No film noir movies, or not the ones I've seen, have any kind of Jewish elements. This is really my dad's own influence in the show and also in Casa Noir, the movie. It's because my dad and I were both like ethnically Jewish. We don't exactly celebrate any of like the Jewish traditions, but a lot of our humor and our culture and our family members, a lot of it's Jewish and a lot of Jewish humor. And I think that a lot of his characters in the show, especially, represent a lot of people in our family. And
really,
definitely a lot of people in our family.
Okay.
Very interesting people. Even just our humor, just the kind of Jewish jokes that we, kind of pass to each other. He really incorporated into the show. So it's kind of interesting, and I really like that he added a lot more like Jewish humor than just trying to keep it only in strictly humor that might be in like film noir style.
Is there ways of our audience connecting with you or in that digital world out there, whatever it is?
One way you can see any of the work that is released, it will be on my website, sabrinazgeffner.com. So just my first name and then middle initial and then last name. That's where you'll see any of the films that will come out. I really appreciate, the time that I've been here. Also one other way, Instagram. Yes. Sometimes I release like promos or just like a new poster I just released for Dead Weight. On my Instagram is frames per sab. So like frames per and then SAB.